Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Global Gaming Podcast, where we're sad to say we have some sad news this time around. We're assuming you probably already know since talk of the internet for the past day or two, at least at the time of this recording. But for those who don't know, Stan Lee has sadly passed away.
Mm,
Not I'm not sure exactly when he passed away, but
yeah.
like
95 years old.
would have been 96 if he had made it to December.
Mm,
But yeah, it's like not much to say. It's like there is a lot to say. What am I saying?
yeah. But
It's
sometimes it's best to say little rather than a lot.
um uh like one thing I can say is that he definitely lived a long and eventful life. That's for certain.
Yeah. I mean, born in 1922. I mean, think about what he must have experienced growing up.
Well, my
Mm,
my great grand one of my great grandmother, the great grandmother that I was on, the one that I'm not on speaking with, that passed away not too long ago. I'm not well, actually, it was a couple years ago. So she was born in 1970. So
when was she born
yeah, like
again? You cut out a bit.
1917.
Mm,
But I don't know what that was about. I'm sorry. That we're talking
mm,
about Stanley. We're not
yeah, I
talking about
mean,
my great.
he would have been born near the end of World War One. He lived through the Depression, World War Two. He probably would have seen the rise of the computers and the internet as well.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
being really
Mm,
rude right now, guys. I'm just like don't know how
mm,
to act right now. But it's like despite
yeah.
what it may
And he
seem
definitely
like
would have
I'm.
seen the Civil Rights era as well. I mean, come on, we know that from the X-Men still. I mean, think
But
about things
anyway,
he would have seen and what influenced him.
well, we already know about some things that we saw. But yeah, there's probably dozens of other things we didn't know about.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Anyway, I don't think it can be understated, obviously, the impact Stanley has had on pop culture as a whole. And, I don't know. I don't know what exactly to say. Do you have anything to say?
Mm. I mean, it's sad that some people celebrate his death.
Well, yeah, but
And it
like, we're
is
not
sad
giving
what
him
the
any
current
attention.
Marvel comics are trying to do with some of the characters he made.
I guess, but like, do you have anything to say about Stanley in particular?
Besides the fact we won't be able to see him in movies anymore. I
Well, that might not
mean,
necessarily be true
I mean, I,
from what
I
I've
used to eye
seen.
roll when I saw that, but now, well, even if I do see it again, it's like he's not with us anymore.
Yeah. Well, from what I've read, um, uh, at least like from what I haven't thoroughly researched this, but from what I understand, apparently they recorded a whole shit ton of cameos just in case he did die. So we might be seeing him on the movies for quite a while now.
Mm.
But yeah, either way, even like it'll be interesting to see how like what the reaction will be from people, or at least like at least for the first couple cameos that come up, because like it's gonna be awkward now that he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all I have to say is like he was a really nice guy. At least like I would, at least from what I've seen from interviews and from what people personally know him have said. He seemed like a really nice guy, and he had a big impact, and he'll forever be missed.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, I don't know what else to say. Is there anything else you have to say, or
I'm sure he'll be immortalized in the minds of everyone who remembered him. The stories of him definitely live on.
yeah,
I mean, and I was going to try and use that as a segue to the next topic, but it doesn't seem appropriate
fair
to use
enough.
it that way, so instead, we'll go to Diablo Immortal.
What else is there to say about Diablo Immortal?
Now, its gameplay trailer is the third most hated on YouTube.
Is that under the original trailer, or is it hated
Well,
more than the
well,
other trailer?
what is. well, the original trailer. It's the third most hated video in all of YouTube.
I thought you said the gameplay one was the third most hated one. Oh, I
I said
see
the
what you're saying.
trailer.
So, now it's third most. Well, what are the first and second ones out of curiosity?
The first one was some foreign video that I can't remember the name of. It's really weird. And the second most hated is no longer on anymore. It's all about YouTube heroes and how to get started with it.
Makes sense. So, I don't really know what else to say.
Hopefully
Just,
Blizzard
good luck.
learns.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes.
Um,
Or whoever the executive at the top is that dictated the stupid decision, hopefully they learn. You can't just give the middle finger to your customers like that.
In other news, this is something we didn't talk about, but like this is interesting. This is rumored for a while, but now it's official. Microsoft has officially acquired, or not officially, but it is confirmed that they're going to acquire Obsidian Entertainment and Incel, and InStyle Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And that the other one, I when I read it, it sounds like Incel, but I know it's not Incel. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's INXILE. That company, apparently, they did Wasteland 1 and 2, which are like spiritual successors to the original Fallout games. And Obsidian Entertainment did Fallout New Vegas, as well as a plethora of other really great titles. So,
And so
what are
now,
your thoughts?
well, now they're getting Obsidian.
Yes.
It's I would hope Microsoft, in a sense, I can't believe I'm saying this, acts a bit more like Sony used to and gives their developers more creative control.
One thing I'm worried about, though,
Sony seems to be running back on that at the moment.
One thing that's interesting, and and I don't blame you for not know if you don't know about this, because this is pretty quiet, but like Obsidian Entertainment a while ago, like was actually working on an Xbox exclusive, or at least a Microsoft exclusive, called Stormlands, that was actually canceled, and like it was like canceled before it was ever officially revealed to the public. Apparently, from what little I understand, it was apparently supposed to be some sort of big AAA role-playing game or something. Or maybe not AAA, maybe AA. I don't know. Point is, it was canceled and we don't know much about it. But, like, what I'm wondering is, that was their first experience with Microsoft, so I wonder, what's it going to be like going forward? And, like, why would they, like, sell themselves to Microsoft if they had negative experience in the past? Maybe they're just desperate or something. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I mean, Microsoft doesn't have the same reputation for buying out a game studio and then just completely ruining it that EA does. But they do have a small reputation for doing it. I mean, that's my concern.
Yeah, like with Rare. Is that right?
Yeah, was that the one that they made them work on Kinect games?
Yeah.
Yeah, once a great developer of games, then the Kinect killed them. They didn't die, they were murdered by the Kinects. See, I can say that this time.
Yeah. You can, and it actually makes sense.
Yes, they actually were murdered.
Well, technically they're not murdered, they're still alive. And they made Sea of Thieves, so I guess they're just zombies.
Yeah, exactly. Sea of Thieves.
But like, I do find it interesting that like I'm not surprised they chose Obsidian Entertainment, but I wonder why they chose the Wasteland developers, because from what I understand of Wasteland 1 and 2, they're like top-down isometric RPGs, ones that definitely have an audience, but not something that's exactly mainstream. So I wonder why they chose that studio.
I guess they're probably trying to get those people onto the Xbox as well.
Let me see, have they done anything else? Let me check. Games developed. Wow, they've done a bunch of games. Oh, they're making a Wasteland 3.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've heard of Microsoft so far, they're really getting sick of losing to Sony. And now that Sony is starting to become terrified of money and success. It was like, Microsoft, we want to capitalize on that. We want everybody on board when we release the Xbox 2 or whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah. I just hope they'll actually be able to make, good games with all these studios they're buying, Sorry about that.
Yeah. I would hope so. I'm not sure about Sony anymore.
So, why do you think they would buy, why do you think they would buy a studio the people who made Wasteland, like the people who are famous for making games that aren't necessarily the most mainstream,
Games that are not for people that want Xbox, you mean? Usually.
Well, what I'm saying is,
from what I would guess, it's probably and this is just me going into speculation and putting on a bit of an Alex Jones hat here. So here it is. I would say it is. They're going for everybody, all gamers as a market share, and they're especially trying to capitalize on maybe the Asian markets as well. Now that Sony's basically giving them the middle finger.
Yeah.
I would say, Microsoft's competitor with Sony, they have to know what Sony's up to. So I'd say, with the recent moves Sony's been making, which is censor everything, we're moving PlayStation to California now. Now Microsoft looks at that, hey, this could be an opportunity to start winning over the Asian market. Well, Sony's always kicked our butts at that. Hey, if we start getting on games that appeal to everyone, and we saw them kind of do that with even getting Kingdom Hearts 3 and Nier Automata on the Xbox, that could have been a sign of, we get these games onto our platform, we show, hey, we're willing to give you more creative freedom now, like we do all these other studios, if you come work with us. I mean, that could actually help sell the Xbox in Japan.
Yeah, maybe. That might be might make some good points. Maybe, hopefully, it does work out for them.
Yeah. So, remember, all that is speculation. I don't know for sure, so don't make your exposed videos about me if I turn out to be wrong.
Also in other news, this is something probably no
or if
one
you do
cares
make the
about.
exposed video about me, use the exposed song. It's catchy.
Anyway, in other news, this is some news no one cares about, but the nominees for the Game Awards, or should I say the Gay Awards. Yeah, I know, that's the worst joke I've ever said, and I've said quite a few bad jokes, but fuck it. Someone had to say it. The nominees for them have been unveiled, and most of them are predictable stuff. Do you want me to read off some of the nominees for some selected categories or anything, or do you not care?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, let me see if there's one for that's really surprising. Oh yeah, this is kind of surprising. So for best narrative, they have Detroit Become Human, God of War, Scroll. Sorry, that's me talking to the computer. Not there isn't a game called Scroll that's on the list. So other thing, God of War, Detroit Become Human, Marvel Spider-Man, Red Dead 2. Here's the funniest one: Life is Strange 2 Episode 1. And this is what I don't understand. Why is Life is Strange 2 Episode 1 nominated? I mean, it's only literally 1/5 of a game.
Man, is that out?
Yeah, it is.
No.
It's been out for months now.
No, I haven't been paying attention to that.
I don't know. I don't have anything against it being nominated. Other than the fact that it's literally 1/5 of the game. It's I don't know. I don't know. I know it's an episodic format and whatnot, but it's I don't know. If it ended up being why not wait a year or so for all 5 episodes to come out, and then if it's as good as you guys think as it is right now, then put it on.
Mm-hmm.
What if every single episode after episode 1 is absolutely awful? Wouldn't that be awkward?
Well, typically the first episode is a good indicator of what you're going to get.
Well, yeah, but not always. Not always. There's been plenty of shows where the first good episode was the only good one. Sword Art Online had a decent first episode, but
no, it didn't.
No, it didn't. Why not?
the entire first episode was a giant exposition dump.
Yeah, I know. Like that's my
People
point. That's why I
standing
said it
around
wasn't.
not doing much of anything and just wasting
I know, but
time.
like it was. I know. My point is that's why I said it was decent, not great. It was decent because I thought at first, oh, they're just doing an info dump because they're like trying to get you hyped up or whatnot. But then you realize, no, it's just a sign of the rest of the show. Oh yeah, speaking of info dumps, this is off topic, but if you ever watch Sword Art Online again, take a note of every time they have an info dump or like or there's a take note or take a drink or do whatever. Just take note of how many times there's a scene where characters just are talking to each other in a cafe or like a bar or like something like that.
Yeah.
There is like extraordinarily a large amount of scenes like that.
Yeah. And even in the very first episode, you can see the main character's a bit overpowered by how he can take down enemies all by himself. So yeah, I would say the first episode was very much an indication of what we were going to get in Sword Art Online.
Yeah, but like
They were just able to mask that with a big evil villain looming over everyone, talking about this great almighty plan. I'm not going to give the reason why I'm doing this. And, well, look at that. More foreshadowing. He never actually gives the reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like the author himself was like, yep, oh no, I'll just say it's been so long I've forgotten the reason.
Well,
like,
it wouldn't surprise me
what?
because like
No, you do not just do that massive kind of plan and then forget why you did it halfway through. That is not how that works.
Well, the thing is, Sword Art Online was originally written as a light novel all the way back in the early 2000s, and it was like part of apparently some sort of contest. There was apparently some light novel contest where the goal was like make a light novel and make it under this amount of time with this amount of words. And the author had wrote it, but like he had exceeded the word limit, so he didn't enter it. But like he ended up going back to it and was like, "Hey, this is pretty good. Maybe I can actually sell this or whatnot." So like I don't know, like maybe that was part of the rush of maybe the reason why he didn't have reason was that was part of the rush of trying to get it done for the contest. But like there's also what's another one? I haven't seen this to be fair, but like from what I've heard, there's this anime called Zokyo no Terror, or Terror in Residence, and whatnot, and that apparently like it's some sort of mystery crime show, and like the first episode is like super well produced, like really intriguing, really interesting, and sets up a lot of interesting mysteries that end up going nowhere, or where they go is like really stupid and kind of contrived. So like. What I'm trying to say is I agree with you and whatnot, but like sometimes the first episode can lie, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like
even when the first episode lies, you can often tell. Okay, there's some parts like looking back, you can definitely see where it was setting up for disappointments to come.
Like A1 Pictures, the anime A1 Pictures have made a career out of making pretty good or at least decent first episodes that trick you into thinking they're going to go somewhere interesting, but end up going either nowhere or it's just fucking stupid by the end. Again, not all of their shows are like that, but a lot of their shows are like that.
Again, it's always about using the first episode rule. If you analyze it carefully, you can see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, the Joker game. I mean, God, that anime. I'd wish I'd seen Digibro's video before I watched that show. I mean, the first episode told me exactly what that show was going to be about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like, the thing, though, like, in retrospect, though, here's, like, an argument you're going to hate with. Here's an interesting argument I have. I agree with the sentiment of Digibro's video about the one episode rule, but I feel like the way he went about it was pretty bad. Like, all he did in that video was say, here are a bunch of shows that I liked that had good first episodes, and here are a bunch of shows that I hated that had bad first episodes. He didn't really go much deeper than that.
Well, he said pretty much. The first episode is how a show is going to be. So if there's elements in the first episode that kind of stand out to you, you're probably going to see them throughout the entire story.
Yeah, I know, but like, I think he could have...
Like, for example...
I think he could have done a better job, like, it's, like, elaborating on that. Like saying, like, he...
Well,
like,
he can't... What do you expect to make an hour-long video?
Well, he's made several of them before, so why not? And like what he should have done was
boring.
he should have taken the Joker game scene and said like this has happened, and then they would have took it a point and bring up like some other moments that happened later in the show and said, see, this a similar thing happened this here, here, and here, and this proves why these signs are here earlier.
What we could have instead was take the first episode from Heavy Object and explain why that anime was crap just in the first episode.
Like even then even Digibro admitted that in his own video that sometimes like a first episode can be good, but also the rest of the show can be bad. Because like he himself this is taken from Digibro, he himself like loved the first 2 episodes of Zokyo no Terror, but after that he like was completely hated it and got bored of it.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to say is like I agree with you, but there are exceptions. Did that make any sense?
And the exceptions mean what exactly?
The exceptions means that
Well, no. This is like me saying most Asian women are short, and you're screaming, "I know 3 Asian women that are tall." My response
No,
is,
I'm not
"So
saying...
well, so freaking what? This doesn't disprove my point."
Well, no, it's proving the point that what happens most of the time doesn't happen all the time. You know, like most Ubisoft games are boring and generic. That doesn't mean every single last one is like that. You know what I mean? It's like if we use the attitude that most are like this, so all are like this, then then I can't tell you what society we live in. Then we have to abandon art altogether because 90% of art is bad.
Most of art is bad, but the truly good art is the only art we end up seeing on a wide scale.
Yeah, but that's my point.
Thus, the bad art of that we also see.
Yeah, but I could turn your argument right around on you and say, so I found 3 good pieces of art. That doesn't mean most of it isn't bad. You said that if I said I know 3 Asian women that are, do you get what I'm trying to say, or am I sounding like I'm a fucking moron? Probably.
You're sounding like you didn't think this through.
I never think anything through. You should have learned that by now. What I'm trying to say is that fuck most A1 picture shows. Except a couple. I liked Silver Spoon. Silver Spoon was pretty good.
Alright. What's a really good anime you could recommend to the audience then?
What could I recommend? Trying to think. Should I go something? Should I go something unoriginal, like something that everyone recommends, or one that I don't think is recommended enough?
Whichever.
I guess Cowboy Bebop's pretty good. Full Metal Alchemist is pretty good. The other one that I don't see get talked about a lot is a show called Log Horizon.
In the middle of nowhere, that one?
What?
Log Horizon? I think I've seen that one.
Yeah. I have seen that one. Log Horizon is pretty much like SAO, but actually good. It's it's interesting. It's like, if I were to describe it to you, you would probably think that, how is that interesting? But when you watch it, you'd understand. It's people are trapped in an MMO, and they can't die and whatnot because they get resurrected and whatnot. It's a normal video game or whatnot. And the whole point of the show is sort of the people here sort of forming a society and sort of grouping together to be controlled and not have things in chaos. Pretty interesting.
And there's plenty of people that abuse the game mechanics to their own advantage, just like assholes do in the actual game.
Yeah. It's really interesting, and it really feels like someone who's played MMOs has played it, because I don't know, maybe this is unfair of me to say because I haven't played that many MMOs, but as someone who's not played that many MMOs, Sword Art Online doesn't feel like a good MMO, while
it isn't.
MMO in Log Horizon feels like, at least from what I understand, sounds like it could be a real life MMO. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Then? Like, there's enough rules in there, and there's enough stuff that are talked about that are like, that you're like, yeah, I can get why this is, like, somewhat popular, or at least why it would have a fan base. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Let me just think. Um, uh, so, out of curiosity, what did you hate about, the Joker game?
Yeah. Well, how misleading it was. Then again, if it was only misleading for a little while. Apparently, it was about all these different spies that have these different abilities and unique personalities. Yep, unique my butt. I mean, they're not unique in the slightest. I mean, it looks like the artist just drew one spy and then copied and pasted him and made adjustments to the height, the suit, and the hairstyle. And in fact, that's probably exactly what he did.
Did, did you just take a point right out of the Zero video?
No, I reached that conclusion as well when I saw it. No, you see them all in a line. It really looks like that's what he did.
Did you like, how many episodes did you see? Did you see like 2 or 3, or? I was curious.
First one, I got bored.
Fair enough.
Mainly with a poker game. I tried to force myself to watch the second one. I just couldn't watch anymore.
One funny thing is, it's funny, when I haven't actually watched this show at all. I've looked up a few clips though, and like when I first saw the clip of like the guy that was very obviously Japanese but speaking English, at first I thought, wow, that sounds very awkward. But then I looked up other people, other Japanese. Then I looked up other anime where other Japanese people were trying to speak English, and I'm like, you know what? That other guy sounded a lot better.
Mm.
It's funny how in comparison, like, that guy sounded like a lot better in comparison. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's good, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Let me see. Is there anything else funny that was nominated for Game of Queer? Or let me see. Oh, for best multiplayer game, Sea of Thieves is nominated. That's kind of funny.
Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. There's Black Ops 4, Destiny 2, Forsaken, Fortnite, Monster Hunter World, and Sea of Thieves.
Mm.
Wondering if we should like do a thing where we go through all the categories and vote on them, but that would probably be really boring. And like some of them are flat out like some of them are like esports stuff, like best esports player, best esports coach, and I'm like, I don't know any of that shit about esports.
Mm.
I have a
Yeah,
friend
playing
from
Destiny 2 would be more interesting.
yeah. Trying to see though. So like, should we end the podcast here? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I believe here's a good place to end it.
Before we go, I just want to say, Stanley it was a great man, and hopefully, and well, not hopefully, I know he will be remembered for probably many, many years to come. So, he accomplished a lot. He lived a life that probably a lot of people envy. He lived a life of entertaining people, being really successful, and living a really long time.
And may he rest in peace.
On that note, have a great night, everyone, and that's all. Bye bye.